on to the point of the podcast.
I was going to say, yeah.
This is going to be a nightmare for you to edit.
Nah, actually, it's going to be pretty easy. Don't stress. Yeah, I think we've hit the point where we probably should...
Probably should talk about what we're supposed to be fucking talking about.
Okay, you mentioned it twice so far, and the reason why I brought you in is because of Lolita.
Yeah.
Lolita fashion and Lolita cosplay is what I want to ask you about.
Yep.
And the difference. Why is... I know there's a difference.
One thing you like with all Lolitas, or like pretty much anyone who wears the fashion who's really interested in it. One thing that will just kind of make you cringe immediately is when people mention cosplay.
Okay.
And it's just because it is commonly confused with the costume, but like there's no such thing as, I mean, I suppose you could do Lolita cosplay if you were wearing Lolita styled to look like a character, like a Lolita version of a character, if that makes sense. But other than that, like there's no like correlation.
No.
So like, because cosplay is dressing up as a character, whereas Lolita, you're not dressing up as anybody.
No,
you're just wearing ornate clothing. You know? Yeah. That's pretty much it.
This is probably the easiest way to introduce it, okay? I was walking through the city, through the Botanical Gardens, I don't know, like 6 months ago. Whenever it was when I asked you, yeah? I was walking through there with a friend.
Yeah, there was a meet-up that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was walking through the city with a friend, and as we're going down, like, near the shrine, we're walking along St. Kilda Road, and we've paused for a second, and my mate's just gone, is she wearing a petticoat? And I went, what? So we've looked up the hill, and there's a bunch of girls, you know, wearing Lolita stuff on a blanket, and they were just setting up like a picnic or something, yeah?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it's just Lolita fashion, man. She says, what? I go, it's just Lolita fashion shit. Look, she goes, what do you mean? What's that? I go, well, see what they're wearing? I go, that's Lolita.
And that's it. Yeah.
That's it. Why are they doing that? I go, because they like the fashion.
It's like, why do goth people like golf clothes?
Well, that's what I said. I go,
it's a good way to describe it to anyone who doesn't know it, is like, you know, if you think of goth and there's all these different subtypes of it and stuff. Yeah. It's the same with Lolita. Like, if you just, it's basically the same. And it's just a different look.
Yeah, different look.
Yeah.
And then she's like, but why would it? She goes, I don't understand. I'm like, and she's not like 70 where she doesn't get it. Like, she's nowhere near that age.
Why would people want to look in a way that they enjoy?
I don't understand why they're doing that. I go, because it's fun. I go, they get to dress up. I go, half of them this is what I said to her. I go, half of them are probably designed half the shit that they're wearing, as in physically made it, or, you know, worked on it as a team or some shit, sourced all the clothing themselves, makeup. I
like to think of Lolita as another way of describing it. It's kind of like, it's a wearable collector's hobby. Yeah. So, like, you know, if you're like guys who like collecting like little cars or even real cars, or, you know, figures or models.
From the front. If you came in from the back of the warehouse, there's all my Mustangs and Ferraris just parked there, you know what I mean?
You know, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's this similar kind of like thing.
It's a hobby you can wear out.
And most of us, like, there are girls who do sew some really nice stuff. Most of us don't make it ourselves. Yeah. But a lot of them are from like Japanese brands who they'll release something like one time. And then they'll make like, you know, a few hundred of the dress. Once it's released, it's out. And like they might do a re-release like fucking 10 years later. Or they might not. And so they're collector's items. Some of them lose value if people don't care about them that much. Some of them end up going up in value. Like I've got a dress called Iron Gate. The print that's on it from the brand, it's a Japanese brand, but a French name, and I'm terrible at pronouncing it. But the brand is Moi Mortier, or Moi Mortier, whatever. I call it Mortier. I just call it by the last. Most people just say Mortier.
Mortar. There you go.
Oh, moiety. There's some people who say moiety, and it makes me want to die, but like, I'm pretty sure it's more, like, I don't know how to say the first part of it. But I know that it's, you know, I'm getting it pretty right with Mortier, at least.
You're fine, trust me.
But anyway, so that dress was originally retailed, I believe, for maybe 350 AUD around, which for like a nicely made collector's kind of item, I feel like that's reasonable.
Okay.
But
I wouldn't spend $300 on a dress.
No.
Then I wouldn't be buying a dress.
Yeah, well, it's just, you know, different strokes for different folks. But the thing is, that dress I bought. Sorry.
Do you know what I just pictured?
What?
I was at a mate's house. This is like 10 years. This is where my brain's at, yeah? Like right now, I can't afford food, right?
Yeah.
But over 10 years ago, I was at my mate's house on eBay.
You're young and dumb and you drop money on random shit, yeah.
I spent $75 to buy a vintage version of JT's t-shirt that he wore from the Girlfriend music video, the 7-Eleven tee. Not the one that they re-released in 7-Eleven, but the original one that he wore.
I like that. I think that's great.
Mate looking at me, he's like, dude, what the fuck? I'm like, I don't know.
You're dropping money on random shit.
Dude, I've got the JT version of that t-shirt, mate.
That's great. I love that.
Would you be my girlfriend? Come on, man. Like, What man wouldn't want that T-shirt?
It's an excellent fashion choice there. But no, like I spent like when it popped up again because it became quite rare because people will buy these pieces and then not resell them because they want to wear them or collect them and keep them.
Yeah.
And then some people around the time that like I think this dress is when did Iron Gate come out? I think in the late 2010s. So like not 2010s, like early 2000s, maybe like 2007, 2008.
Okay.
I cannot remember when it came out. But the dress is like decently old now. And so a lot of people have pieces that are beginning to fade or fall apart. So if you get one that's in good condition, you know, that one I bought for like $1,000.
Whoa.
Like, I mean, I saved up because I knew that I wanted it. I'd been putting money aside until it came up on the market. Yeah. And I bought that one for $1,000. And I think my Lolita wardrobe itself, I've got, I don't know, maybe 70 pieces. Most of the pieces that I've kind of curated for a long time.
Clothes, man.
The thing is, like, you don't just wear them. You also, they're a collector's item.
Yeah.
You know. But I've curated, like, I've got a few pieces that aren't really, like, collectibles, but they're just for wearing that are cute. But a lot of my pieces I've curated for a really long time. Some of them are from as early as 1998. And, you know, my wardrobe's probably worth, like, I don't know, at least 30 or 40 grand.
You have this shit insured?
No, I don't.
You should.
But some of my...
Insure yourself, insure your
The thing is, I didn't necessarily spend all of that on it. It's just that the value of it has gone up. Yeah.
Dude, it's value.
But then I've got a few pieces, like, there's some kind of things that would be considered old school, that's what we would call it in the community, that look a bit different, that are from, like, late 90s, early 2000s, that you can pick up for very cheap. They're not, like, collector's print items. But then pieces that came in from, like, 2006, 2007 to now, like a lot of them have prints and they're like recognizable dresses that are like quite expensive.
In demand, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay. For the record, right, we still didn't actually clarify what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah, what Lolita is. So
I tried to explain it to my friend as quickly as I could because we're in a rush, right? Yeah. And then, as I said, I've got a girl in my building that does it. She goes, what do you mean? I go, she lives across the hall from me. I go, she is Lolita into this sort of shit? And that's when I got the idea of like bringing you on the podcast.
Yeah.
More people.
There's a lot of people who don't know what it is.
I asked a few people just out of curiosity and like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you know, the fucking dresses and the...
Yeah, well, I was actually quite surprised that you knew what it was as just like a random dude in my building.
I'm out of words.
Well, I thought it was crazy. I realized there was another girl who wore it like literally like one apartment over below
That's what got me as well.
I was walking by and I like glanced down, you know, because sometimes people just leave their windows open.
Yeah. And I've got my door boarded up.
Yeah. Like I literally just like I looked down. I just gave it a glance and like because you're just like looking around while you're walking, and then I ended up seeing something like familiar, and my eye kind of darted back to it, and I realized that it was a dress that had recently been released, but it was a re-release of the honey cake print from Angelic Pretty, and I was like, yeah, boy, with the matching bag. Oh, that's what it's like. The print was called honey cake, and to describe it is a dress with like boxes of pancake mixture on it, and then it's got like it's kind of in like a cute kind of art style, with like the little honey bear bottles and stuff like, and different like breakfast food items, but it's kind of like a border print around the bottom of the dress in a very like cutesy style.
Just along the border.
Like so there's like a print. So there's a big print along the border, and then little details from that print kind of along the top of the dress, kind of going up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah. See, when I tried to break this down to someone, I thought the way to put it was just literally fashion aficionado. Yeah. Right? People collect fucking model trains and can give you the details and the models of these toys. And for me, it's a toy train. Like, my nephew's got one. Like, do you know what I mean?
But to people who are into that, it can be worth quite a bit.
You know what I mean?
And that's the same with Lolita. Yeah. Definitely. But, like, in terms of just, like, a quick rundown of what it is and where it comes from, it's a fashion that is heavily inspired by, pulls inspiration from a lot of different things. It comes from Rococo clothing, like the French Rococo era. I've got a piece that basically looks just like a French Rococo dress, but shorter, like to your knees. Okay. So there's, like, kind of comes from Rococo. It comes from, like, Victorian and Edwardian era clothing.
That's my first.
There's a bit of, like, 50s kind of thrown in for some styles. There's, like, a bit of a vintage. Really? It depends on the pieces that you're wearing. That was just a
my brain automatically goes to that Victorian Victorian era.
But, like the
straight away.
petticoat, a shorter shape with a petticoat, there is some, like, vintage elements, more recent vintage elements. And then it's also kind of all of that mixed in with, like, Japanese, like, kawaii culture and Harajuku fashion and cute things. And so it breaks down into 3 subtypes, kind of like with goth, there's, like, new goth, cyber goth, all that shit. Batcave goth, original 80s, Sorry, anyway. But, so it kind of started with Gothic Lolita, which kind of stemmed off of the goth umbrella first. And so it was kind of popularized in the late 90s, by a visual kei artist named Mana. And he started, like, a fashion brand, kind of based around the clothing that he wore on stage.
It's really bizarre, because, like, Lolita's all sort of kawaii stuff, right? Which is all based on cuteness
But it started with, like, visual kei, which I'm not sure if you're aware. It's kind of like Japanese punk, like, God, I don't know how to describe
like
it. I'm terrible. No, it's like Japanese, like, kind of
Steampunk?
like, it's a type of music.
Okay.
But it's called visual kei because it's a very visual style. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of very, like, campy kind of 80s, like, aesthetics in there, I've noticed, with, like, big hair and stuff like that. I'm terrible at describing this. So if anyone who's, like, a Lolita is listening to this, you're like, this bitch does not know what she's talking about. I'm trying. But, so it comes,
Lolitas outside.
so it comes from visual kei. Like, there are, like, evidence of, like, some elements before that. But, it was popularized around that time, and he coined the term elegant gothic Lolita. And it has nothing to do with the Lolita, like the book, by the way.
I was going to say...
Nothing to do with that. People
when I've described it, like, isn't Lolita just some sort of Russian whore? I'm like, no.
Who's describing a 12-year-old who was groomed as a whore, by the way?
Yeah,
you probably cut those out.
People don't know. People don't fucking know, man.
But, it has nothing to do with that. I mean, if you know Lolita as a name before it was a book or anything like that, it just means like, pretty girl.
Dude, it's like Mercedes.
So, that's...
Mercedes, everyone says that Mercedes is a stripper name. Mercedes is such an elegant German name, man. Like, the guy that designed the car named it after his granddaughter.
Yeah.
I'm being serious, man.
No, I know.
Perception.
Although, I've met a lot of girls named Mercedes, and they were not very nice.
Where did you meet them? At, like, strip joints?
No, just...
Were they their real names? Or they were
like, school and stuff? I don't know.
Where did you go to school?
I've been to a lot of schools. I moved schools 3 times in primary and like 4 times in high school.
Out of, like, Cruel Intentions or something, where like the bad
No, just they weren't necessarily like horrible. Just like kind of like I feel like there was a lot of girls named either Mercedes or Paris and stuff like that, who were like usually the kind of popular, slightly bitchy one who would look down on you for not getting your nails done or something.
Yeah, you're like 10 years younger than me, so everyone that would have had kids would have been idolizing Paris Hilton and like all of them. At some point.
Probably. Yeah.
But
sidetracking from that. I don't even know where we were at.
You're talking about kawaii and Lolita stemming from Japanese punk.
Yeah, so it kind of came from like, well, not punk, but like I don't know how to describe it other than for anyone
Japanese
who's normal.
Subculture.
Yeah. So it kind of came from a very like a very like goth and alternative and like kind of punky scene.
Yeah.
And so because he wore a lot of these really elaborate like outfits on stage, he dressed as a woman and looked like a woman.
Okay.
But it was like, he started a brand kind of based off of the clothes that he would wear, and he called it elegant. Most of the dresses will have elegant gothic Lolita along the bottom of their border prints.
Cool.
And so he started with that, and then it kind of, other brands opened up as well that were doing kind of like slightly cuter versions of that. But in the early days, there was still very much a mix of, even with the sweeter styles of like kind of goth elements.
Okay.
Just from when it started. And slowly over the years, it got less simple and like, kind of more,
like elaborate?
Ornate and elaborate, yeah. Well, this thing is like, for instance, Mortier haven't changed a lot since they started. A lot of like, you can wear, like a lot of their stuff, you could wear a new dress from Mortier now and kind of style it in an older way, and it would look like it was kind of from that era still.
Let me ask you a question. How did you actually get into it?
How did I get into it?
Yeah.
Well, I was originally just like some random weeaboo kid. I was like, I love anime, and I don't know. So I loved anime. I was a massive weeb.
What's your favorite anime?
Pretty cringy. Oh god, I have a favorite anime now. I don't really watch a lot now. I did really enjoy Cells at Work. That was a cool one.
Which one was that?
So Cells at Work is an anime based in the human body, and all of the cells are anime characters.
Oh, God. Okay.
That was quite a fun one.
I've got a couple mates that are really into anime.
It was actually pretty educational.
Some of these are like ridiculous.
It was a really educational anime.
Dude,
I enjoyed it.
My mate shared me a clip the other day of a ballroom dancing one.
Oh, yeah, I think I've heard of that one.
Called.
I did just watch one called Cooking Wars, and it's like a guy...
Oh, Food Wars?
Yeah, Food Wars.
Yeah, I saw the first season of Food Wars.
Oh, I love Food Wars. Like, my boyfriend and I sometimes will kind of, like, whenever I make dinner and, like, he's really enjoying it, I'll just sit there and be like, come inside my heart, inside my heart.
I learned a cooking tip off Food Wars, man. All right? I fucked up a meal.
After Cooking Wars, I tried to make some of the recipes.
Hey, I fucked up a meal, and I ran out of time, so then I'd use the trick of, like, the onions on the meat, and, like, I can't remember what else he did in order to win the challenge, because they'd sabotage
had to,
his
like,
thing.
make the meat more supple and get
it quicker.
Yeah,
it worked.
Make it more like A5 grade meat.
Yeah, dude, it actually worked. It legit worked.
It's amazing, yeah.
man.
But I really enjoyed that anime, honestly.
I watched the first season. I regret not watching the rest of it.
Because, like, when I was, like, a young kid, or I'm between, like, 12 to, I'd say, maybe 15, 16, you tend to just make those things your whole personality. So I was like, at least for me, and I was like, I'm like gonna watch heaps of anime, and like, I only liked things if it was anime. I was like just a massive weep. I like Japanese things. It was very cringy.
Yeah.
But I had heard about Lolita, but I didn't really know what it was properly. And then I suppose over the years, as I started moving away from like weebier stuff, I know, like, I had a few friends who had gotten into it and like Japanese fashions, and I slowly just kind of picked it up and started like teaching myself about it because I was interested in wearing it because I just kind of heard about it.
Yeah.
And then slowly over time, I just started building up a wardrobe, and then I like got into it and joined my
So what was
local
your actual
community.
draw to it though? Just the fashion itself?
I enjoyed dressing up, and I thought it was cute, and I liked how I looked and felt in it.
Yeah.
I'd also recently at the time, because I'd been pretty overweight for a lot of my teens and like my childhood and stuff. And I had lost a lot of weight, and for the first time I was actually, I think, enjoying like seeing clothes on myself. Like I didn't hate looking at myself, and it was really fun like playing around with like myself as if I was like, like a little dress up doll thing or something,
You got to wear the shit that you
and I started to really enjoy fashion. Instead, and like for instance, more recently, because I gained some weight back and I've been very stressed out, and there's been a lot of life just happening. I've just pretty much have gone back to, pretty much just gone back to wearing jeans and stuff every day because I don't, really enjoy dressing up as much. I still do wear Lolita sometimes though. It's just a matter of finding time. But
I was going to say, it takes the process itself, because like this is the thing, like a lot of people don't actually know what it is. You know what I mean? And for me, when I first looked into it, my thing was like, Jesus Christ, man, like the effort to put this shit together.
Yeah, well, it depends on how much effort you want to put into it. This was like going back to when I was saying old school. Like, old school styles are much quicker to put on. They're more of a daily street fashion.
Yeah.
Whereas more recent Lolita, it's stuff that is like, it's become more of like a runway and like event style fashion and like high tees, but like big brand parties and things like that. There was a very big, about 2014 to 2017-ish, around there was like a huge, like, classic, like, over the OTT classic kind of, it was really popular. Because it kind of goes in phases of what's in at the time, or what's more popular. Yeah. And at that time, it was classic all the way, but it was like, massive bonnets with feathers popping out of them, like really big dresses that were a bit longer, had a lot of extra frills, like just really over the top.
Yeah.
But like, some of it was gorgeous, but you couldn't just like wear that down the street, or you couldn't even wear that to some of the events and meetups because it was just so much.
How big is the actual community in Melbourne?
I think there's like 200-300 members. At the moment,
members.
Yeah, around there. But not everyone is active at the same time, though.
How active is everyone, though?
There's some meetup. Like, I haven't been to a lot of meetups recently, but I'd say, like, I see some meetups happening, and there's, like, at least, like, a show of, like, 15 to 20 people. Like, but there's different people each time. It's just when people can find the time. Because also, as, the fashion ages, and as people get older, more and more of the Lolitas who were really active a few years ago, who were, like, high school students, are now working.
Yeah.
And they don't have time to get out and dress up.
Yeah. What would a meet typically be?
Like, I guess, it's an excuse to just kind of dress up, but it's also, like, meeting people who are like like-minded, because like obviously you're not just meeting people like, we dress the same. But you know, it's just a way to make friends and stuff. And you know, generally if you wear Lolita, you probably are into other things that are kind of similar. Like a lot of us are into like, you know, gaming and this and that. But you know, we'll probably meet up, either we'll do like a picnic or something. Sometimes there's like movie meetups. There's been karaoke meetups. Just, you know, going to a restaurant or a cafe, or doing like a high tea if you want to, like, you know, dress all fancy or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, it's a lot of people. I've seen a lot of documentaries, or like people have tried to do the documentaries on Lolita, and they make it out to be this really weird, like almost culty kind of thing where everyone meets up at and drinks tea in a specific way, and they're you know, like, it's not like that at all. It's just, you know, a lot of people think it's like some weird fetish thing, so like they don't even want to start trying to explain it to people, because, like, why would you?
That was my next question, was how often is it confused as some sort of fetish thing?
Well, there are people who are, like, you know, into fetishy stuff, who, like, want to dress in very, like, ornate feminine things.
Whatever,
like, you know, sissies
whatever
and stuff.
Gets you off,
yeah, but there are people that do try to, like, come into the community who are like that, and they get booted almost instantly because the community has a lot of underage girls in it.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, there's also people who aren't into fetishy stuff who just think it's a fetishy thing. Like, I remember when I was 17, I was like, it was one of my first outfits, and I was wearing a blouse, like a, you know, like a cute, like kind of frilly blouse under a dress. So like my whole shoulders, my arms, everything was covered. My body was covered. The dress came a little bit past my knees. It was I was wearing tights as well. I had, you know, like I was fully covered. I had like bloomers on under that shit, so when you bend over, you can't see anything. And
I can't imagine playing much touch football in that outfit.
Yeah, but like I was walking to like an event, and I had this guy walk past me, and he literally shouted at me. He's like, "Whore," and I was like,
"How?"
So he must have thought it was some sort of like, like dress up like a little girl to be sexy to some creep or something. But that wasn't it at all. I was just wanting to look cute. Like, I just wanted to enjoy some clothes. But yeah, he thought that I was, I don't know. I've had a few other friends who've had experiences like that.
I was going to say, have you ever been targeted outside of that, even just like online or anything?
When I had a blog and stuff when I was younger, and I would post outfits. I had a few of my outfits shared to, like, you know, like weird sissy domination blogs. Like, you know, there's guys who get off on like a woman dressing them up like a girl to humiliate them.
Yeah.
And because, like, you know, it's a very hyper feminine fashion, and they're attracted to hyper feminine things, they try to infiltrate Lolita communities a lot. And we have like a group actually on Facebook called "It Sounds Like Something a Sissy Would Say." And it's pretty much, it's a tag group. And so, like, whenever, like, a creepy guy posts in a Lolita group, and he was like, "Oh, hey, ladies, how many petticoats do you wear?" And you know he's just trying to get fap fodder.
Yeah.
And we'll just be like, "It sounds like something a sissy would say." And, like, you know, they end up getting, like, posted. And, you know. But, you know, there are, because it's something that a lot of people have been fighting for a long time. It's like, you just want to enjoy, like, these clothes. Like, yeah, maybe it's not that serious overall, but it's not nice to constantly be treated like you're some creepy fetishist just for enjoying clothes.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same with, like, goths. Like, for like, back in, you know, when it was, like, the 90s and the earlier 2000s and stuff, it's like, oh, if you wore a goth, you must be a Satanist who kills cats. Like, you know, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of fetishists who try to come into it.
The fucking label goth has been so, like watered down and changed to suit whatever the fuck anyone wants.
Goth is just like black clothes now.
Yeah, to some people, goth is like Satanism. To other people, goth is just like black clothes, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
Like black nail polish. It's like, dude, all the metalcore cunts that came out. Remember all the emo heads in the early 2000s? Dude, they were like just like goths who wanted to be cool and urban at the same time. When metalcore first came out, it was like when metalcore came out, it was like dudes that listened to goth shit in the fucking 90s and then started listening to Limp Bizkit and new metal, then started listening to hip hop at some point because that became big and wanted to combine everything so they could find their niche. Okay? Goth has been the most watered down shit. Dude, people thought I was a fucking goth because I had long hair past my shoulders, man. And I played in the metal band.
I think there's like a lot of guys who are into metal, and like the metal community gets confused with the goth community a lot.
Dude.
Although you can be goth and like metal, but it's not necessarily goth music. Like that, there is a music style for goth. But I think that's a good way of explaining Lolita as well, actually, is that goth did originally come from a music type.
Yeah.
And that's, like, Lolita did too. it came from like
that dude, yeah.
But you know, then they both just completely changed, and now Lolita's more about a fashion than music, and I think it's similar with goth. It depends on the kind of goth.
It's interesting too, because like Lolita started by a Japanese musician who was a guy dressing as a woman.
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
it was.
What I mean?
But like, yeah, so it was
that
like,
was just artistic expression.
It was just, yeah, and like, if you
Boy
look
George.
at,
Anyone seen Boy George yet?
pretty much, because they were that artist, like, you know, because it was quite big, because the band was Malice Miser, by the way.
Yeah.
They were very popular, like, in like the late 80s and the 90s and, you know, early 2000s and stuff, and they were very like camp. They were very over the top. Their music was like inspired by like Rococo kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's like, you know, they've got like a few instruments that, you know, you'd think you would hear in like a, what's the word? Like some sort of historical, like, thing, like some sort of historical play, but then mixed with like kind of like metal or like rock kind of J-rock kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at explaining this. I'm so sorry. And it doesn't help that I'm just terrible at speaking. But yeah, no. So it came from that and then turned into a fashion. And then now you've got, like as I said earlier, classic, gothic, and sweet are the main subtypes.
Okay.
And they had different rises and falls, and they kind of get popular again and less. But now there's kind of another one that's popping up, which, I mean, it's not a subtype, but it is because it's been so long, like the early 2000s and late 90s were so long ago now, that people refer to a certain type of Lolita as old school. So you could wear like old school sweet Lolita or modern sweet Lolita, or, you know, if that makes sense.
You're talking about genres and subtypes.
Pretty much.
Yeah, to you it's like crystal clear.
It makes sense.
It's just like
but
petticoats, makeup.
To a normal But the best way I'll describe it is, so like a gothic Lolita that's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
It's you know, you've got like your poofy kind of dress or whatever, but like they all have the same shape basically. Yeah. But like, for instance, with gothic, you're wearing more, you're pulling inspiration from darker things. You're wearing a lot of black. A lot of my gothic pieces have like, I mostly wear gothic. But most of my pieces have like churches on them and like, you know, different like just like gothic imagery on them. And you know, you pull from a very like romantic goth kind of style.
Yeah.
And then classic Lolita is probably the one that normal people tend to be the least offended by, or the least like, what's that? Because it looks like it could just be like a really nice kind of like vintage, like near 40s style, or it depends on the type that you're wearing, really.
Yeah.
Or just like a really nice kind of like historical outfit or something. It tends to be a bit more toned down. There's a lot of ivories and browns. You could do something inspired by like vintage, or you could do like a nice
mauve.
Mauve. Actually, that's a color. But you know, if anyone's listening, you can search these up. But classic Lolita is, well, it comes from like classical. Like, it's supposed to be a bit more elegant, but it's not necessarily dark colors and stuff like that. And then sweet Lolita is, well, sweet Lolita. It's usually, there's a lot of bright pinks. There's a lot of pink. There's a lot of bows. That's the one that gets confused for fetish stuff the most.
I was gonna say, like, you've explained to me basically your draw to the whole thing. Yeah. Right? I mean, you like the fashion, you like the dressing up, you like the, I'm assuming you like the makeup side of it.
Yeah. Well, obviously.
Yeah. Right. Is there anyone, like, I know one of the analysts, like, when people try to analyze what Lolita is, they look at it from a point of escaping adulthood into childhood.
There's a few people are like, oh, escapism.
That's what I was going to say.
It's not escape. Like, some people would be like that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, say, how many of your friends are Lolitas? Like, say,
how many of my friends are Lolitas? Like, on my Facebook, or like just in real life?
Your phone of, say, 20 people that you speak to or whatever. Do you have many friends? Do you have many close friends that are Lolitas?
Everyone who I'm like close friends with are Lolitas.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's more just because I met them through the community, and they're the people I talk with the most. My partner, I met him through. Yeah.
Out of any of them, does anyone look at it as a form of escapism?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so it's just.
I think it depends on like what you would define escapism as well. Because,
escapism
like,
as into avoid back into childhood. Childhood. Not escapism as into like you're filling the outfit and like you're all just sort of participating in a group. Would you say like, do you mean like age regression, like feeling like young and whatever again? Even that, yeah.
None. So, like, we all just enjoy, like, I have a friend who wears, like, a lot of sweet. I wear gothic. We just get along because we have a lot of the same interests. We get each other.
Yeah.
But our friendship isn't based around Lolita at all. We barely wear it together.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm saying.
But
I'm
no,
saying
but, like,
out of
she's
individuals
not...
that you know in the community. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because someone said it to me once. Like, well, so what are they doing? Pretend to be kids or some shit? Like, no, it's
No,
nothing to do
that's
with
the
that.
thing. It has nothing to do with that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Trying to
there's
break
no
down
escapism.
That myth.
No,
You know what I mean?
yeah. The people who do that kind of stuff, usually if they're coming into the community like, hello, I like a sweet Lolita, and they're like trying to be like some kid or something,
Yeah.
and they're acting like a freaking weirdo, we're just like, alright, bye.
Yeah, like you're not...
Like, usually what'll happen is we won't want to be like terrible to them, so we won't boot them, but we'll usually just like avoid them, and then they end up kind of fading out on their own when they realize people are like kind of uncomfortable by them. But yeah, no, no one's really doing that kind of stuff. If you do that kind of stuff, you'll probably just be like shamed.
You're in a different subset of people, man.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with Lolita. It's something else altogether.
Go sign up for FetLife or some shit.
Go to a special club.
Yeah, like
where there's a lock on the door.
Like, pedo lights.
Okay, that's what I'm saying, because I've had to break that down. Like, I'm not an expert, man. That's why I've got you here.
But that's what a lot of people think it is that. Especially, like, I can see from an outside point, if you've never, experienced it, you might think that. But I've actually said to a few people, they're like, oh, like, what are kind of your hobbies? And I've been like, oh, I'm into Lolita. And they've kind of been like, oh, isn't that like a Japanese, like, thing? And I'm like, what the
You do that voice really well.
What is that? Sorry. So I'm trying to like my best kind of like, I don't know, like not Karen, maybe like a Sandra or like I don't know. But she's like, isn't that like, you know, like a sex thing? Yeah, like it's Taylor. A very like, or like, yeah, it's very Taylor.
Or Amber.
Like, all right, Amber, Taylor, shut the fuck up. But yeah, and like you're like, no, that's not like, yeah, but I watched a documentary where girls were kind of like dressed up like that, and like, you know, they were all like being taken advantage of sexually. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're watching. I mean, don't tell me about your, like, Pornhub searches, man.
I can't, dude. I can't, because you do the voice so well. I can't. Like, I actually can't. That's fucking weird, man. It's like chills.
Like, yeah,
how about, like...
You add kind of just, like, a moany drawl to everything you say, and you kind of have to be really breathy. Just like... you have to breathe outwards while you're speaking. Like, I, like... don't understand what you're saying right now, and it's making me uncomfortable. Sorry.
That is a skill.
But yeah.
That is a fucking skill, my friend.
But yeah, like, they kind of just ask you this dumb shit, and you're just like, well, no, it's not. And then the thing is, what I find strange is a lot of people will argue with you about the thing that you're wearing and know about. So like, no, but it's like definitely a sex thing for some people, you know. I'm like, well, no, but maybe. I mean, everything's a sex thing for some people. You buy a banana
I'm
like
Greek,
that.
Right? Dude, I'm Greek. My parents were born overseas. People will argue with me over Greece.
Yeah.
And Greek way of life.
But like, I've had people go like, how could you wear it though if you know that some people do it as a sex thing? I'm like, well, how could you give your kids a banana when you know that some people shove it up their ass? Like, sorry. Like,
straight to the fucking money shot. Not even paying.
But you know what I mean, right? Like, yeah, everything is a fucking sex thing. Like, it is like friggin' My Little Pony porn out there and
shit. My mate used to say, my mate's a dickhead. We're walking along, this is like 10 years ago. Again, selective memory, like this is what I'm remembering. 10 years ago, walking along Elwood Beach, middle of summer, and we were talking about like random shit, and he's like, man, every scene can get turned into a porno.
Yeah.
Like, really? We looked up, and there was an ice cream truck. Do you want to get an ice cream? We just looked at each other, looked up, and there was a girl serving. Yeah, every scene can get turned into a porno.
Yeah.
Buying an ice cream.
Literally everything.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is like, so there are always going to be people who try to take something that was born not sexual at all, and make it sexual. But I mean, there's heaps of, like, for instance, there's heaps of porn out there would be like, goth babe, you know, shows off how, I don't know, her body or some shit like that, you know. But like, but the thing is a bit, God.
Pornography's terrible.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not like a porn entrepreneur,
you know what the
connoisseur.
Is that, like,
but you know what I mean. Like, there's always going to be people who sexualize anything.
Dude,
but it doesn't mean that it is sexual inherently.
Now, right? I mean, Lolita fashion originated in Japan, right?
Yeah.
And people criticize Japanese culture, especially because of their views on sexuality and, like, that whole sort of subculture, right? At the same time, in Japan, tattoos are generally associated with gangsters.
Yeah, like Yakuza.
Yakuza and, like, literally people in organised crime.
Yeah.
But bogans here are covered in fucking tats. Would that make them, by definition, all fucking gangsters?
No, exactly. But also, like, for instance, it was born originally, some people, like, it depends on, like, most people will kind of agree with this, that, like, when it kind of first was started being more worn by, like, younger girls away from the goth thing, like, when other brands started opening, it was becoming more popular on the streets, and there was, like, the cuter versions, that a lot of these women were dressing up because, like, guys would be like, oh, that's, like, not sexy, that's cute, like, that's too cutesy, like, I don't want to give you attention. And a lot of girls would kind of wear it to avoid to avoid sexual attention.
Yeah.
And because they didn't want to dress for, like, somebody else. They just wanted to dress for themselves. And it was basically just reclaiming your own self, I suppose.
No, you're taking control back of yourself.
And not wearing what society expects you to. And, Japan has always had a lot of stuff like that,
Dude, Harajuku girls.
Harajuku fashion is insane. I mean, if you look at their lives, though, and their climate, where people are, like, freaking working so hard that they sleep on the streets, like, random, they have naps. It makes sense.
Yeah.
You
ever been to Japan?
I have not been to Japan, no.
Okay.
I've had a lot of, like, my partner's been to Japan. I've had a lot of friends who have, but I have not made it out there yet.
How come?
Money, man. Like, I was
chestnut.
when I was a massive weeb, I was learning a lot of Japanese. I retained some of it, but I lost most of it, which sucks. I can still read it enough to buy things online, though, which is good.
That's really all you want.
Yeah, like, I can say a few random select things to
site.
Yeah, but, like, that's but I at least with, like, where Lolita comes from, like, I definitely know a lot about, like, the culture in that respect.
I was going to say, how do you keep up with, like, what's new in Lolita fashion? Just, like, literally social media and online?
Social media and stuff like that. But, like, for instance, like, I'm not as heavily involved in the community as I used to be.
Yeah.
Like, because you don't have to be there's a lot of people who, like, you don't have to join a club for the clothes you wear, and, I originally joined it because it was something that was new to me, and I wanted to, like, immerse myself in it and make friends who are interested in it.
Yeah.
But then as I've aged, I've made those friends. You know what I mean? And, like, most of the people who come into the fashion now are, like, 16, 17. I'm not really in the business of making...
feet the way you found yours.
I'm not really in the business of making friends with a lot of teenagers. So I'm not as heavily involved in the community as I used to be. I was out of it for a while, almost. Like, I still had all my clothes, but I just wasn't paying attention to it at all, and I've kind of recently been paying more attention again. But yeah, you just
like
kind of
anything, man.
Facebook groups and stuff like that.
When I was 19, 20, I was in, like, metal bands and shit like that, and I was doing audio engineering. So, man, I was out at, like, all the goth metal joints in the city, whatever it was Bang or whether it was Red Moon or whatever the fuck it was. I was there, man. I'd see the same people, know the crowds, know the DJ, know this, know that. Man, I'm 35. I haven't done that shit for years. Why?
Yeah.
Because I still love music. I still play guitar. But
you're not that into it.
Yeah, I just can't.
You don't have the energy.
Yeah.
But, like, so I still keep up to date with a lot of things that are happening, like releases and things like that from brands. You can join, like, groups, like, specifically for that are just, like, J fashion brands and and I'm in a few groups for, like, outfits, like, so people just, like, post like daily, like, outfit shots. Yeah. Be like, this is what I wore today. Like, kind of like a lookbook thing, but in, like, a group.
Do you have many friends that sort of do it, like, get dressed up frequently? Like, as in...
there are some people who... I actually have a friend, I won't say her name just because I don't know if she wants me to. But, she she wears it daily.
Really?
Yeah. Well, she has other things, but it's her main style.
Her main thing, yeah.
So, like, unless it's, like, inappropriate to wear. Like, if she needs to wear gym clothes to somewhere, she's not going to wear Lolita. She'll wear gym clothes, But
she'll go on the treadmill in the petticoat.
Yeah, but, like, her daily style, for the most part, is Lolita.
Yeah.
And it's just because those are the clothes that she likes. The same way there's some women who wear vintage or, like, pin-up almost exclusively.
Yeah.
And, like... For me, I used to wear it quite a bit, at least, like, a few days a week, like, just as normal clothes. But as I said, like, I'm not enjoying fashion overall as much lately, so I haven't been wearing it as much.
Yeah.
And also, just time. But, yeah, like, there are people who do wear it daily, and then there are some people that just like to wear it as an occasional thing.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you, don't get angry at me.
No, go for it.
The difference between Lolita and Lolita cosplay.
Well, as I said earlier, Lolita cosplay, well, it's not a cosplay, so it doesn't exist.
Most people don't know what cosplay is, yeah? You know that.
Well, it's weird, I forget that, because most normal...
I'll tell you why. Because I had a group of friends, like, say, 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
My core group of friends, we were all really into like getting dressed up and making effort for like birthday parties. Anytime there was like a birthday or some shit, Halloween, we all made an effort to go fucking over the top with our outfits, right? We'd buy, we'd make, we'd sew, we'd do all that shit because we found it as a fucking laugh. We were all pop culture junkies, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cosplay.
Loved our movies, we loved all that shit, yeah? But in that group, there was probably only 1 or 2 people that still go to like Comic-Cons and shit like that and will actively make an effort to like get dressed up.
Yeah.
At the most, because they all went and had kids, they became adults, they didn't have time.
Well, like I've been interested in cosplay as well.
Yeah.
But like as a completely separate
That's
hobby.
what I'm saying. Most people don't know what cosplay is. I'm not into cosplay.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the best way to describe Lolita as separate from cosplay, or Lolita cosplay, is if you could technically do a Lolita cosplay if you were cosplaying a character, but in like a Lolita version.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But, Lolita, like, when you're wearing Lolita, you're not dressing up as anybody. And like, for anyone who doesn't know what cosplay is, you're dressing up as characters from shows or games or books or movies that you love. And so you're not being somebody else when you wear Lolita. You're yourself. You're just in like a, you're not cosplaying. Like if you wear a wedding dress, you're not cosplaying a bride. You're a fucking bride. Like you're a fucking bride. Like what you're wearing. If you get married, you're not cosplaying a bride on the day.
You're getting married.
Wow,
I love on the way to a wedding.
I love your bride cosplay.
Yeah, like, I love your bride cosplay. No, I'm getting married.
Like, like I don't think it's very accurate though. But yeah, no, like that's a good way of. That's probably the best way I've probably described it.
Are you into cosplay, like generally?
I have cosplayed a little bit. I'm not like hugely into it. Especially like I'm not super comfortable in it at the moment.
What were your favorite sort of themes, like characters? Themes?
I did a Zero Suit Samus at one point. That was fun when I had blonde hair and stuff. So I bought like the full suit.
Okay.
So you know who that is? Obviously.
No.
So
obviously, like
do you search Zero Suit Samus there so you can see a picture.
Okay.
So Samus is like she's from Metroid. It's a Nintendo game.
I know what Metroid is.
Yeah, and so she's, like in her normal suit, she in her full like body armor thing, but then she's got her Zero suit, which is what she wears underneath, and that's like
Which is what that?
Yeah, it's that.
Okay, so it's just like a body. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like so, I
follow.
I had like a bodysuit and stuff like that. I've done. Been such a long time since I've like really cosplayed.
Follow any cosplays online?
I've done a few Star Trek cosplays and stuff. Like I did Beverly Crusher because I've got red hair. I've got to. Okay. But like with my makeup stuff, I ended up like contouring my face to look like her. It was kind of weird. Like I looked like her, but I didn't.
You got any photos of this?
On my phone.
Okay, relax. You don't have to pull them now. Just send them to me later.
Yeah, I will. But like, I've done a few different ones. Just like general kind of Star Trek ones. Like I've got like some proper like I've got some nice like Leto. Yeah. But some like
I don't know anyone that's like under the age of 40 that is a Trekkie.
Oh, is it weird? Is that like I thought there was a lot of people my age who like Star Trek.
There was my entire life. I remember one kid that was in a Trek. It was a Trekkie, and we gave him shit like relentlessly. And that's just because someone clued in on it. And it was just like something to give him shit about. Like,
I don't know. It's just a show that I enjoy. Like, I'm not like, oh my god, everyone, I love Star Trek. I need to talk to you about how cool I am for liking Star Trek.
Relax, man.
Sorry, I'm like a very animated
your
person.
Shoulders are coming.
No, I'm a very animated. Right. You probably notice I'm a very animated person.
Yeah, you are, but
I'm not actually like on it. Like, I'm just like, whoa, I'm just.
I know, but sure, man. If you don't have your hands in your pockets, I feel like you're just gonna be slamming your fist down.
Star Trek. Sorry. No, but I like I wear sorry, where was I? Like I've worn some Star Trek cosplays and stuff, but like I like Star Trek, it's alright.
You know what I love? I love the fact that when I asked you to do the podcast, you said to me that you didn't know how you'd go because you thought you'd just clam up and blah blah blah.
Yeah, no, I'm alright. I'm chill.
But
I'm vibing.
But I remember I said something about gaming. And I can't remember what it was. I might have just mentioned that I was playing a game or something. I can't remember how that conversation started. And then you clued in on it.
We were going against like PC versus console.
You said something.
Filthy console scrub.
All I said was, oh, dude, I didn't know you were a gamer. Like, what do you want? Like, console? Like, I said, Okay, you PS4 or Xbox? And you're like, oh, no, PC, I don't ever jump on the console. I'm like, nah, man, why?
The only console I use is the Nintendo Switch for Animal Crossing.
Dude, I got to ask you about that too. But all I remember was that in the build-up to that conversation while we were chatting, like, your texts were just coming back and forth like normal. And I still remember you were texting me. You weren't like, it wasn't like an Instagram messenger or anything. It was actually
we were
phone-to-phone text, right?
Which is rare.
This is what I
don't check my texts.
Yeah, and you got credit. That was the other thing. I know.
What year
this is what I remember. It was going back and forth, and it was just like, oh, yeah, cool, blah, 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 yeah. And I said, console game, PC. I'm like, come on, man. Dude, there was like a 10-minute to 15-minute gap. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I remember just like doing shit around the house. I'm like, have I missed a message or something? And then bang, man. In about 10 minutes, you literally had just posted like a fucking Bible, man.
A 600-word essay on why you are wrong. No, that's something I do have because I have like attention deficit disorder and it is unmedicated. I tend to hyperfocus or get very serious about certain things sometimes. And I do like if you say like. If you tell me, like, hey, I want some I think you didn't say, like, why is it? But you were, like, kind of arguing with me a little bit. I think you were joking around.
I might have just said, oh, come on, like, why? Like.
Yeah, and I was like, well, here's this, and this.
And I remember copying and pasting that conversation. And
you said it to your friends.
Straight into the WhatsApp group of the two boys that do the Gamer podcast on this. And I'm like, guys, yeah, and one of them was like, I don't know who the fuck wrote that, but I will fucking marry him. Like, that's what they said.
The thing is, like, verbally, the thing that I was concerned about is I do have problems recalling, like, info. Whereas, like, when I can type it out, it's much easier to get from brain to out of head. So I can give you a million points when I type things out, and I can be very, like, I can write things very eloquently if I choose to, and I can, but then in real life when I speak, I'm just like, well, PC is better, PC better than PS4 because PC have the RAM. Like I can't words, probably, if you ask me to give you points to, like, back up, like, my beliefs in certain things, I can struggle to do that. But if you ask me to text that shit to you.
Boom, 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 boom. Like a stenographer, man. Dude, it was fucked. I still looking back and it's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Like from that point on, I'm like, all right, we're dealing with a professional here. Like, seriously.
I'm not, like, a hardcore gamer or anything, but, like, I do enjoy games from time to time. It's not like my personality.
And I remember, because I remember I said to you, what are you actually playing right now? And you said that you had set up almost like a server with your partner in your. I'm
still playing a lot of that.
Yeah.
I'm playing Conan Exiles.
What the hell's that?
So it's like an online kind of like MMO. And it's like a survival sandbox.
Okay.
But Conan, you know who Conan the Barbarian is?
Yes, I know who Conan is.
So obviously, I was going to say, you're not like 12.
Well, in my day, I had the comic books and I had the cartoons.
Yeah. So that's what it is. Like, it's a game set in that world, and you have to, like, survive. And, like, you start off literally just, like, picking up sticks and stuff and making, like, little huts. So you're trying to make a hut, and it's brutal.
Is it
like, it's a very brutal survival. It depends on, like, the rules for the server or whatever. Okay. But it's quite a brutal startup, and it takes you a while to get established, and then slowly over time you're building fucking castles.
Yeah.
And it's just really fun because you've got, like, a massive world and you can do whatever the hell you want. And
cool.
You can take slaves, which is great. I got like a wheel of thralls, and they're just like, like, oh, help me, and you get them to do shit for you, and, like,
it's really amazing, man, because, like, I used to
help you make armor. And
I used to be big on that sort of shit because it was escapism. Like, that was a point of escapism. You know what I mean? And, like, I remember when The Sims first came out, man, I was fucking all over it. You were a kid when The Sims came out. I was a teenager, and I remember harvesting, like, for hours on end, for weeks when it first hit. It was like reality TV. It was just brutal. It was like reality TV on PC. You know what I mean?
I remember getting my first copy of The Sims on GameCube, funnily enough.
God.
Why the GameCube? I don't know.
GameCube? No, I never went near it. I don't think I've ever touched a GameCube.
Well, I originally, when I was a kid, I asked my mum for a PlayStation.
Of course
a PlayStation 2, I think.
Okay.
PlayStation 2? Yeah. And they were sold out. And so she got me a GameCube. And, I'm not unhappy with that, Like, I mean, it's given me some good like, I played, like, I originally grew up on, like, Nintendo games and stuff, which would be considered quite casual to some, but, like, I really enjoyed, like, Legend of Zelda, like, Wind Waker and stuff. That gave me a massive love for the Legend of Zelda franchise and stuff.
See, I never played Zelda.
Wind Waker was beautiful. I loved that game.
I hated Zelda. It just wasn't for me. I've never liked arcade.
That's fair.
I've never liked adventure games. I've never liked
it's kind of adventure mixed with, like, kind of role play mixed with
RPGs and
puzzle.
Like, it's
very puzzle. Like, but I really love the music, the world. Like, it's a nice game.
Again, it's like
it's a fun time.
It's fantasy.
Yeah.
And it's like, look this way, man. Like Mid-Earth, right?
Yeah.
This is what pissed me off with Mid-Earth, right? When you explain what Mid-Earth is, like Middle-Earth, what do you think of when you think of Middle-Earth?
Middle-Earth?
Yeah.
The first thing I think of is Lord of the Rings. Like,
okay. This is what shits me, alright? When I was a kid, when I was an early teen, okay, so let's say 13, 14, right?
Yeah.
I was playing Magic Candle 2, right, at my neighbour's house.
Yeah.
I used to fucking love that game, man. You orchestrate a team. It was like what you just said, like the Conan sort of game, right?
Yeah.
Like you orchestrate a team of people and you start roaming around the fucking hillside, start like just developing skills, getting into battles, turn-based shit.
Yeah.
In Middle-Earth, right? You had a map, you had all that sort of crap, right? I used to love that. I used to love Warcraft 2. Right? Loved it.
Right, yeah.
I love the concept of Middle-Earth. I used to read a lot of novels based in Middle-Earth when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Now you try and explain what Middle-Earth is to people, and they say Harry Potter.
What?
Yeah. And then you...
Who is saying that?
Yeah.
Whoever you are.
When people started...
I will find you.
A unique set of skills. Dude, I stopped liking Middle-Earth when people started thinking it was Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter.
Insert Roblox death noise here. Oh!
Okay? I can't.
Yeah.
Because it's like, no, like the Middle-Earth...
I don't hate Harry Potter. I'm not going to say that I hate it. I did grow up... I grew up with it. I have a little bit of a fond kind of spot for it because I did watch it as a kid. But I do feel like it's like that's like what fantasy is to some people.
That's what I'm saying,
my partner hates it just because he comes from like, playing Dungeons and Dragons and all that kind of stuff. And like he loves a lot of like, kind of like 80s fantasy and like a lot of campy stuff as well. And he doesn't see he enjoyed the Harry Potter movies when I watched them with him. He was like, they're okay movies, but it doesn't feel like real magic to me, kind of thing. Like, he was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, why are they using wands and then saying this shit? And like, but then he hated it.
I fucking love Iron Maiden. I love power metal.
Yeah.
I love music steeped in Middle-Earth and fantasy and all that sort of shit. Yeah? Love it. And that's the thing.
He loves Rhapsody.
Rhapsody.
I saw Rhapsody recently.
Really?
Yeah. They came to Australia.
Man, my Iron Maiden ticket got postponed or cancelled because of the fucking coronavirus. I saw Iron Maiden in 2008 live. It was one of the best things ever.
Wow.
Now I miss out. Nevertheless, my point is... my fucking point is that Middle-Earth as a concept is fucking brilliant, man. Fucking like... knights and fucking gremlins and like women with big tits and jugs of fucking ale and inns.
Yeah, I grew up with that stuff. My mum lives for that shit.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. But then they water it fucking down and make it malleable and palatable for mainstream media.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is not what Middle-Earth was meant to be. I picture Conan the Barbarian fucking slicing people up.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I had no interest in seeing the Conan movie when it came out.
Yeah.
Just because I thought, fuck that, they're going to whitewash the whole thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's my problem. But it's hard to explain, man. Like,
I know where you're coming from. But how much of this podcast is Lolita? It doesn't matter. Crop it up, rename the title.
Look, we're probably at a 40-60 rate.
I talk with my neighbor about random things. Come listen to me talk with my neighbor about random things. Do-do-do.
That's a theme song.
Neighbor talking time. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Now you're just trying to not do the Mario theme.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that. It is neighbor talking time.
Alright, I'm going to cut that and put it to the front. That'll be your introduction.
Dimitri talks with his neighbor.
What's with this fake Russian accent too? We're talking Middle-Earth.
Is this Russian? Are you hearing this is Russian right now?
It's sort of weird Russian, but not.
This is not a Russian accent, man.
I don't know what the hell that is now.
I don't know what it is. I'm feeling like it's a little bit of like
you're going to Jersey.
Yeah, it's like kind of like maybe like a.
Now you're going to Jersey.
Hello, sweetheart.
See, now you're just doing like a Marge Bouvier fucking accent.
No, it's kind of like a Jewish New Yorker grandmother.
That's the thing, man. Like, people don't realise that Marge has got a Jersey accent.
Kind of,
but
yeah.
she lives in Springfield.
Maybe she moved.
Yeah, but they didn't.
Oh, wait, no, they didn't.
She grew
yeah,
up
no,
there.
they talk about...
You understand what I'm saying? It's all these little hidden
Well,
things.
maybe it's like me. Like, I grew up here. I never left, but I've got a bit of an American accent. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe it's that.
Why are you attacking me, man?
Am I attacking you?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Are you feeling attacked right now?
Really?
I'm sorry. I'm not attacking you. I'm chill.
I'm saying.
Vibing.
I'm just fucking saying. How did you manage to morph a Middle Earth accent to a Russian accent to a Jersey, Brooklyn accent?
I have ADHD. Welcome to the podcast. I talk with my neighbor about fashion, and then some cosplay, and then like Middle Earth, and cars.
Cause.
And hard drugs.
Hard drugs?
Yeah, that's next, right?
Anyone from Jersey talks about hard drugs?
Yes. I'm sure they do.
Dude, it's really fucked.
Jersey.
Like, people, I never realised that me doing voices was actually a thing.
Same.
Like, up
I
until...
didn't know that was a thing.
The first time I ever remembered it, or the first time I actually recognised it, was because I used to work out in the field setting up marquees and shit, and I worked with a lot of backpackers, and constantly, like, the turnover stuff was like crazy, and we'd be doing these brain dead jobs, like really rigorous and fucking just labour intensive, yeah. And in order to keep spirits up, I just start going nuts at some point and just start switching fucking names up, like names. Like, I'd start going from, a Vietnamese baker to like an accountant from New Jersey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
My name's Sal. I'm bald. I'm fat. I live with my mother.
You know what I mean? Like, it always just kept mixing up every fucking day. And then I remember someone saying, "Man, like, you're actually really good with that shit." I'm like, with what?
I get that a lot as well. I've been doing voices since I was like. Ever since I can remember. I used to do them in school, and people used to think it was really, like, funny and cool or whatever.
The thing is like, everyone's like, you're in the wrong industry, you should be making money off it. I'm like, well, okay.
Well, you don't have to make money off of everything that you enjoy. But yeah, no.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, cool. Who do you know that does voiceovers in Australia, like when you watch a TV ad or something?
Yeah.
So it's the same dude.
On Channel 9.
It's the same fucking guy.
You really got that. Oh,
yeah.
I can't even do that.
It's the same guy.
Sometimes I wish there was a way I could switch, like, just like a little switch where I could flip my voice to male, if that makes sense. Because I feel like there's a lot of voices I'd be able to do if I had, like, the male voice, and I just can't do them, and I'm so jealous of it.
Practice.
Yeah, but, like, I can't get my voice down that deep.
You'd be surprised, though. Like, my voice, when I was one reason why my voice got to, like, the way it is, outside of drinking a lot of scotch, was the fact that people used to make fun of me because when I get animated, my voice goes up an octave.
Yeah.
And, like, people would fucking, like, make fun of me.
I used to get a lot of stuff for having a really high-pitched voice.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a... I don't know if my voice is high-pitched. I think it's a reasonably deep female voice.
Like, I can tell you who my favourite voice actors are, like, straight off the bat, yeah? Like, Dan Castellaneta from The Simpsons, Hank Azaria, Don LaFontaine, who's the original movie voice
Mark
guy.
Hamill is excellent.
Who?
Mark Hamill?
Mark Hamill. Oh,
yeah. He's
you just
so
picture
good.
Joker, that's it.
Yeah, no, but not even just for the Joker. Like, he's done so much stuff.
He has.
But he's just fun to listen to.
He's just Joker, though. Like, you just picture him cackling, and that's that. You know what I mean? But, like, with me, it's weird, man, because, like, when I was a kid, I always thought I was going to sound like a kid for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Because I was always, like, the skinny kid. I didn't put weight on until I was, like, 24. Like, you know what I mean? I was always that skinny kid, and I thought, fuck, man, how's anyone ever going to take me seriously?
Yeah.
And then, when I loved Don LaFontaine, who was the original movie voice guy, but I didn't bother attempting how to do his voice until I started hearing Pablo Francisco do Don LaFontaine's voice. Pablo Francisco is the comedian that does the movie voice. You know what I mean? So I spent, back in like 2005 and 6, my mate got me onto the guy's comedy. He's like, dude, you're going to fucking love this guy, check him out. And then I was obsessed. So I started trying to imitate that shit. And like all I did for like fucking 2 years was just walk around when I'm by myself working, just going, you know, one man, one solution. And then, like, you know, I'd watch the credits and shit of like a movie and just start naming all the names. You know what I mean? And it was just
I've just always liked emulating random voices that I hear.
Oh, what's his fucking Ron Howard? Yeah, and then eventually my voice just started giving way, like practice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It depends how much you actually love doing that shit.
Yeah.
Though.
Like, for me, it's never been something that I've been constantly practicing. I've just always enjoyed putting on different characters and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I've just always been, I suppose I was described as quite like an animated person.
Okay,
like,
let me ask you a
up.
question now. This is branching off, right?
And, yeah.
So I'm really sorry. Okay, so you're in a fashion, like Lolita fashion, you're in a gaming, you like fantasy sort of shit, you love doing this stuff.
Can you tell I was bullied?
Hey, me and you both, man. Me and you fucking both.
You tend to find niche hobbies and things where you feel more accepted because of that, I think.
Dude, half the time, I'm like, man, I used to be doing conversations with myself, man, because you lose yourself in a fantasy because you get bullied.
But it's not even just like, like trying to escape being bullied and stuff. It's also just like, you tend to reject, like, you get bullied by these people who are into certain things, and like, you're quite immature, so you reject everything that they like.
Yeah.
And so you go the opposite way.
If I'm not normal, then
But I think my mum was just like massively into, like, my mum's a massive metalhead. She's into, like, she loves Tolkien and stuff. Like, she loves, like, fantasy. She's always been into, like, that kind of stuff, and so it rubbed off on me from, like, a really young age. I've always kind of been into that kind of stuff just because of my mum.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't. That's probably why I was bullied. It's my mum's fault. Screw you, mum.
You're blaming your mum.
Yeah, I'm blaming. No, I'm joking. I'm obviously joking. It's not my mum's fault.
Because your mum liked Tolkien, like you were bullied.
Yeah, no, but like I was default into those things, like and then I just grew up with a lot of it. So
I get it. I'm just saying, you didn't let me make my point.
Sorry. What was your point?
You're clearly creative.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did makeup. That was another creative
thing. There you go. There's another creative thing. All these things, though, like, as in makeup puts you behind a camera. You ever gone in front of a camera? Outside of, say, your outfits?
I did, well, not necessarily like in front of a camera, but I did I did theatre.
Did you?
I was a theatre kid. Yeah, I thought that was obvious.
Oh no, it's
pretty
not obvious.
Terrible.
That's the point. It's not obvious.
I was a theatre kid. Like, I've always, like, enjoyed putting on shows and characters and entertainment, I suppose, and just anything that's creative.
Okay.
I do a lot of, like, I don't really post them to my Instagram and stuff. I do a lot of art as well. I do a lot of drawing.
I think I've seen a couple of your pictures on Instagram. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think I've seen a few things pop up.
Yeah. I do like a little bit of everything, I guess. Just whatever I'm hyper-focusing on at the time. That's the thing, is I can't really have one hobby at a time at the moment. I'm hoping that I can kind of, like, regulate my, ability to balance multiple things at once when I'm, like, actually medicated properly, which is hopefully in, like, 2 weeks.
Okay.
But I have this, I'll tend to, like, for instance, recently I suddenly took up felting.
Felting?
Like, in, like, a day.
In one day?
And I ended up teaching myself how to do it really well, and people were like, what? Have you, like, someone tried to buy something off me. I was like, what?
Wait, felting? What do you mean?
So felting is, the fabric felt.
Oh, is that like the stacking?
No, but that's just kind of the way I'm trying to describe it. Okay. It's like, people make that felt fabric by getting, like, wool, they flatten it out, and then they get, like, a needle, and they stab it into it until they, like, make, like, a solid felty fabric shape.
Okay.
So a similar kind of, like, with felting, you can make, anything you want out of just, like, a loose wool, like, basically, washed, taken fresh from the sheep and dyed or whatever, but it hasn't been processed into anything.
Chasing a sheep around a field.
It hasn't been processed into anything.
Okay.
And you're like, okay, I want to make, like, a realistic rabbit. And so you start off with, like, a round, like, ball, you kind of push it up into, like, a shape.
Okay.
You get your needle and you just stab at it violently until it becomes, like, more solid and into the shape you want. And you slowly shape and add bits on until it's like felt sculpture.
Okay.
Essentially. And that's quite a fun thing, just because it's something that I can sit on the couch at, like, 4 a.m. when I get home from work. I don't have energy to do anything else, but I have enough energy
I've
got enough energy to stab at a ball of wool.
I love how in one day it was like the art of felting, and then it's like, how much do you want to pay for it?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's crazy.
But yeah, like, I like picking up hobbies, like, artistic ones, and I usually, like, I don't get amazing at them, but I usually can get pretty adept pretty quickly.
Okay.
But then when it comes to things like math, like, fuck off.
Oh, dude,
I can't do that shit.
I did foundation maths in year 10, man. That was it.
Yeah, I left math in year 10.
Yeah. Year 10, I did it. I did the veggie maths, and then didn't do it year 11.
Yeah, I tend to, like, rapidly rotate any, like, creative hobby, pretty much. And, like, I come back to them, as well.
Yeah.
But like, for instance, like I just built a doll and did its face and everything.
I built this with my hands.
Yeah, like I made a doll and did the full face up and everything and looked pretty nice. And then I was like, well, I'm done with that. Never going to do that again.
See you later, dickhead.
No, like I joined I tend to join like communities for everything that I'm into as well, for briefly, like online, like just
There's
so I
like
can
1,000 profiles with Gwintendo 64 and then just like 3 posts and you have half your bio filled out.
No, just like on Facebook groups.
Okay.
So like, but like, I do end up, it's not like I drop them forever. It's just like I drop them for long periods of time. I find it hard to pick things back up again.
Okay.
And I think that's mostly just because of the way I am. But
let me ask a question before. You said Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
I started seeing it pop up all over my
because it was just released on March 20th.
What the hell is it?
So Animal Crossing is you've never heard of Animal Crossing?
No, like, I'm telling you, people started talking about it and I had no idea what it was.
It's a game that's been around since, I don't know, for like early 2000s maybe? I can't remember, I think.
You're making me feel really old, man.
It's been around for a while, but it's a Nintendo game, and basically it's kind of like I don't know how to describe it, it's just a very like casual, it's like a very wholesome, like life simulator almost.
Wholesome?
But like you kind of, it's very wholesome. I don't know, I think it's really like, so you move to like a town,
okay,
or whatever, and like all of the characters are like basically like animals, and like your character is just like a human. I think it was originally supposed to be based off like a rag doll, but it's changed. But like basically you get like a house. There's like a little raccoon guy or a tanuki or whatever, and he's like, yo, thanks for moving to the town. I'll give you like a mortgage essentially. And like you slowly, like you do jobs around the town to pay off your house, and then you can like do other things, like you fill out like you collect stuff for like a museum, and so like you'll go like fishing and like you collect fish and then bring them back, but you can sell some to make money to pay off your house. But like there's different versions of the game, and so like the new one is New Horizons, and people are really excited about that just because there's like so much more customization. Like you can like actually shape the town and, you know, move like where the rivers are and like, you know, do all of the infrastructure and like where all the buildings are and everything. And yeah, it's just kind of like it's a very like slow paced, it goes in real time as well. So if it's 8 a.m. in the game, it's like the shops in the game actually close at like 11 o'clock at night, and then afterwards you have to wait until the next day. Like, yeah, so, but it's hard to explain Animal Crossing. A lot of people will ask, and it's something that a lot of Animal Crossing fans have, is like they don't know how to 100% describe it, other than like a kind of a slice of life simulator.
What are you playing it on?
I'm playing it on the Nintendo Switch.
Okay, Switch.
But it's a cute kind of game. Some people go, it's not like a proper game because it's cutesy, but like, it's just supposed to be a fun time.
Mate, did you ever see do you remember the theme games? Theme Park, Theme Hospital?
Yeah.
Dude, Theme Hospital was one of the coolest games ever.
Yeah, you build like a little village basically.
Yeah.
And like, for instance, the one before that was New Leaf, and that was on the Nintendo 3DS.
Okay.
And you were like a mayor of a town. And then you would slowly, like, you'd get your approval rating up, and then you'd, like, become the mayor, and then you could, like, build different, like,
you know what I love? How
public works projects and
stuff.
Stuff.
How intricate these
and
games
clean the
are.
town up.
Like, that's insane. Like, you're the mayor of a town, and you've got to get public, like,
yeah, so you do all the but they're, like, kind of done in, like, a cute way.
Yeah, but the levels of, like, actual attention to detail, like, who would have ever thought you get to play the mayor of a town?
Well, there are fish in the game, right? That you can actually, because the game is clocked to real life.
Yeah.
For instance, on Christmas Day, if you sign in, it'll be Christmas Day in the game. But like, there are fish, for instance, like, for instance, I'm playing at the moment now, it's March, so I'm catching a lot of fish and bugs and stuff that are only going to be around from like March to like, I don't know, like say, September, and afterwards they'll disappear and there'll be a whole new set from September to like another time.
Yeah,
and there's different, but you actually have to, like, it's one of those games that it's not like, oh, you play it in like a week and you finish it. There's no real hard finish.
Oh, no.
It's just like, you do, there's content to come up that regularly comes up and stuff, but the whole point is like enjoying time, living in a nice town, you know, with cute animal villagers, and it's just a nice time. Like, that's it. You know?
I'm remembering some of the games that I've played over the last couple of years, man, and the time invested. Like with Red Dead 2, yeah?
Yeah.
That was I bought the Division 2 yesterday, right? And that was the first time, yesterday, day before, and that was the first game I've bought since Red Dead 2 in November 2018. Okay, so for a year and a bit, I haven't bought anything else, and it's really the only game I played, Red Dead 2. Dude, did you play it at all?
Red Dead?
Yeah.
I've played a little bit of Red Dead 2, like, before the new one, like, you know, came out or whatever, and I was like, oh, I should probably, like, play this. Because I heard that a lot of good things about it. I've got to say, like, the game itself is fantastic. Graphically, it's aged horribly.
The first one?
Oh, yeah. But, like, the games are...
The reason why I'm bringing it up is because, like, I forget how emotionally invested we get into games.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's like a movie or a book.
Won't ever get it, right?
Yeah.
In Red Dead, like, you know, you get your horse, you bond with it, la la la, you train it, you know, whatever.
Oh, my favourite thing in number 2 is just listening to Arthur to being like, oh, attaboy. I'm like, yes, Arthur, you love that horse. I love that horse too.
Come here, boy.
Yeah. It's so good. Oh, it's just...
Whoa.
Yeah. Sometimes I'd be playing and like I hear Arthur just be like, yeah, attaboy. And then I repeat it, like I just repeat the things he says in his voice, like out loud for no reason.
Dude, but like, to anyone that's not a gamer wouldn't get it, but it's like reading a book and your favourite character dies. Like, do you know what I mean? These games, man, like, they're designed now for the long haul. Like, they're not just short.
I think they're just another medium of storytelling.
Yeah, it is.
Well, depending on the kind of game. Like, some of them have no story at all. But
you play Fortnite, that's not storytelling.
I love the story of Fortnite.
What is the story of Fortnite?
Is there a story to Fortnite?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I downloaded it for free, deleted it without installing it after about a week or two.
Yeah, I downloaded it because like it was all suddenly popular and stuff.
You gotta get it,
My boyfriend and I tried to play it. What happened was we downloaded it. We went to sign in. Our internet suddenly went down, so we couldn't do anything like for weeks.
It's a sign.
And then when the internet came back on, it was already like been around for long enough that we just didn't want to get into it and couldn't be bothered catching up.
Yeah.
And they were like, it looks like a lot of 12s play this actually, and then we just deleted it and never. Yeah. My little brother loves Fortnite. He's 8. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I went to Bali like 2 years ago, man, every bit of souvenir was like a Fortnite reference, man.
Yeah.
And all these kids were screaming at their parents, can we get this t-shirt? Because it's got like the kid flossing on the front.
What I find really funny with him is like, I don't know, I think kids are in just like such a funny bubble where they think that like everything that they know, like other people don't know. Or, you know, and like I come over and he's like, have you heard of Minecraft? And I'm like, dude, I played that when I was like 13. How is that still around? I love that we do have like kind of him and me, even though we're quite far apart in age. We have like a bit of like still a generational overlap where we'll be able to relate to each other. Just because like I come over and he'll just be like, oh, so do you have any memes that you like? And then,
how's this meme?
Yeah, and like I'll quote random memes to him, and he gets them, and then he loves that he laughs.
Yeah,
and I find it funny though because even some of them he was only four. Like some of them were like vines, but now he's watched them and he's seen them and he relates to them
they
too.
Went out like 10 years ago.
Not 10 years ago. Oh, 2015. Okay. Calm down.
Dude, I'm old now.
But like I'll come into the house and be like, oh hey Ari, what's up? You know, and I'll be like, free Shavakadoo, and he'll just be like, oh, free Shavakadoo, and then he'll start flossing, and I'm like, what's going on? Like he just walks into the room and just starts flossing. Like randomly, and then he'll put on random like meme songs about like Five Nights at Freddy's, and I'm like, okay,
right,
all right.
What, Five Nights at Freddy's?
I don't know. It's just some game where you're like, it's kind of like like Chuck E. Cheese.
Okay, so
but it's a place called like Freddy's instead.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
I gotta Google this because I got no idea what we're talking about. Five Nights at Freddy's.
So it's like a horror game, but it's basically like you're at like Chuck E. Cheese, but it's not Chuck E. Cheese. It's like that kind of place.
You realise most people wouldn't know what Chuck E. Cheese is.
Yeah, well, they should get educated then. Educate yourselves. Educate yourselves on the kiddie casino and pizza. It's basically just a place with animatronic animals, and like they sing, we eat pizza and get coronavirus. What? There's just kids everywhere. The little grubby hands, and it doesn't get.
I just picture
everything's sticky.
I just picture the Simpsons, man, where the guys, hey, it's Wally, do something funny. Hey, go bug your parents. Walking through with that fake pizza.
But it's like some horror game, and like you're like a security guard, and you have to survive like 5 nights with like the creepy animatronic animals and shit. And it's just a game. It's a game. It's basically like horror light. Like kids love it, but it's not. There's no actual like gore or anything. I don't think. I haven't really paid attention to the game. It hasn't like piqued my interest other than like seeing it in a few places. But But my little brother is just massively into those kind of games. He's very into, like, kids' horror games. Anything, like, he likes that, like, that bendy game.
Let me
or
ask
something.
you a question. What was the first video game you ever played?
The first video game I ever
Let's say,
played.
if you had to name, say, the first
I'm sure I played earlier games, but from memory, like when I could actually start remembering things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'd say Super Smash Brothers Melee,
Okay.
Super Mario 64, and then Sunshine.
So second gen console, not even second, they're third gen consoles.
Well, I am only like 23.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I played some earlier games though too. Like I remember playing Castlevania and stuff like that.
See, this is the thing, man. Like people talk about the violence of video games now, and like the ultra realistic, blah 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 blah. At the same time, man, like I was talking about, dude, just yesterday I was messaging someone, and funnily enough, that I found out they're like a closet gamer. I had no idea, right?
Yeah.
The lifestyle completely unrelated to gaming. You wouldn't have ever thought, but yeah, they're a closet gamer.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how they downloaded.
I loved Metal Slug.
Metal Slug was a good game.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how they downloaded Doom 2 off, like, some thing on PC, right? And they were playing Doom 2. I'm like, wow, like Doom 2? Like, you know Doom 2? Yeah, my favorite game was Wolfenstein 3D. I downloaded that last week.
Oh, rad.
I'm like, Wolfenstein 3D? Man, I remember being, like, 8 years old and playing Wolfenstein 3D.
Yeah.
Dude, I was 8 years old at my uncle's house.
My
shooting
mom...
Nazis, man. You know what I mean?
My mom, for instance, like my little brother, he's playing the like old Doom at the moment on Xbox because you can get it.
Tough.
And he's really enjoying those. And Mum doesn't have a problem with him playing those because they're not like they would have been really violent at the time, but they're not that. You know,
they're not realistic.
Yeah, they're not realistic.
Pixelated things.
Whereas my mum doesn't want him to play like the new one.
Oh, dude, you play the new Return to Castle Wolfenstein. It's fucking
that shit's gory. And like, I mean, I don't think there's really a huge problem with it because if you're unless you have some sort of pre-existing condition, you probably know that like right and wrong, and that killing people with guns and shit isn't okay.
We've had that argument a thousand times. There's no correlation.
Yeah, there's no correlation. So, I think she just doesn't. She doesn't feel comfortable with him looking at that stuff so young.
I look at Doom, and it's all just you're in hell.
Yeah, and it's not like it's realistic.
I never found it violent. I just found it scary. Because I was like a kid when I played it, and all I remember, I swear to God, from Doom, all I remember was the alien dudes in the green, you know what I mean? They look like they're wearing fucking overcoats, and all like the whole thing, you just hear them just like the whole time. That's all I remember, just walking around, just
that unsettling noise, like
you're unsettled. Yeah, you're unsettled. That's
it's
the only way I can
uncomfortable. It's
describe
immediately. It's like when you're playing like Half-Life and stuff, and I forgot there's like the little face crab guys. I forgot what they're fucking called. Face crab men. Yeah. God, I sound like I'm a very elite gamer. I know what I'm talking about. No, but you know what they are. You know what I'm talking about, right? Did you play Half-Life?
Oh, man,
well, they were like the face latching things. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what they are. Yeah. And I remember you hear those things like kind of skittering around a little bit, and you're just like, like it's an uncomfortable feeling.
I'm sorry.
Like,
it's just your descriptors are the too good. Nevertheless, I don't know what time you had to go.
Yeah, shit, what's the time?
How long do you reckon we've been talking?
3 hours?
Calm down, 3 hours.
Oh, 2.5.
Yeah,
2
hours and 20 minutes.
Oh, pretty close. Well, 2 hours and 20 minutes is only 40 minutes off 3 hours. Don't at me, all right?
Nevertheless, thank you for discussing Lolita, even if it was 40-60%.
And I don't think I really covered it like at all.
Nah, you know what? That's the thing, man. Like, I mean,
just Google it. And
people don't want to read.
Yeah. Well, no, you don't have to. Like, there's some videos, but then just watch some videos on it. But then don't take anything about escapism too seriously, because usually the guys who do the films on that, they pick the weird ones because they're the only ones that'll actually do like a video thing with them. And then most of us are just like, what are you talking about? I mean, I just want to.
I just like the dress.
I just like this dress, and I'm gonna go get a burger. Bye. I don't know. It's just clothes, man. You're reading into things a little bit there.
Your face.
What?
You actually leaned into the mic.
Mate.
Yeah. Dude, like, seriously, man. No, like, honestly, that's what, I guess, you know what, man, like, I really wanted to bring you on just to break that stigma, because I'm from the outside, I don't actually know. I've read what I've read, I've seen what I've seen. Outside of that, like, you're not going to walk down the street and see someone. Maybe if you're in Japan, but not here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
well, I found it really crazy there was someone in my building. I was like, what the fuck, in the same building?
That's the thing I was going to say to you. When I messaged you and said, why don't you talk to me? You're like, oh, what was I going to say? Like, I feel kind of weird, like, going in. It's like, dude, if I saw someone that was... Do you want to hear some shit?
Well, that's the thing, is I don't want to just, like, knock on this chick's door and be like, hi, I've noticed that you wear the same clothes that I do, and I would like to talk to... Would you like to talk about the clothes that we wear?
Mouth breathing.
I noticed that you wear Lolita. Please be my friend.
You need to have a retainer on as well, man.
I'm so lonely.
Man, let me tell you something. Like 10 years ago, man, I was having breakfast in Morty Alec. I'm sitting there having a casual breakfast with a friend of mine, and she's just talking, and I've just trailed off, and all of a sudden I've jumped out of my seat, run about 50 metres down the road, grabbed this dude who was with his bird just walking, and I've gone, hey, man, is that a Queensryche t-shirt? It's like, yeah, man!
You're like, oh, fuck you! That does happen. Yeah.
I shook his hand and ran back to my table.
Yeah, well, there's a girl in my
interest,
community or whatever. She met this other girl and she got her into it. Got her into it because she saw her out and about just wearing it, and she wasn't in any communities that didn't know about it. And she chased her down like wearing trackies, and she's like, "It's all right, I'm a Lolita too. I just look like shit right now. Join this comm. See ya, bye." And just like ran off, and they ended up being friends. So
that's what I'm saying, man. Like you said, there's a girl in our building, man. I would have been knocking on that fucking door with like a plate of cookies, like, oh my god.
Well, I've got some like brand stickers and stuff that I might just like maybe write her a little note and slide her under the door and be like, "Hey."
Creepy.
But no, just be like, hey, like, here's a little sticker. But like, I wear the same fashion. It's kind of cool, you know. What's up?
I'm picturing the split of that. I'm picturing in your head, it's like so innocent. You're just writing a note. Hi, you know.
How you going? I'm your neighbor.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. In her, like, in her eyes, it's like dun dun, and then like the music starts. It's like, you haven't noticed me, but I've been watching you around the building. I really like your clothes. Here's my number. Oh god. Babe, what's wrong? Sorry.
It's just like fuzz, like it puts the lotion on its skin or it gets the hose again.
You know what I mean? He like locks the door, just huddles on the couch, and just like, hey.
Here's Gwyneth.
Yeah. By the way, dude, I have to give you props. I hate the Nintendo 64. I fucking hate it. But the first time you gave me your Instagram link, I was like, that is the coolest handle.
Nintendo 64 is not a bad...
No, it's brilliant.
You know.
It's fucking brilliant. I hate the console. Love the name, though. I have to give you props on that. Dude, you know what's sad? The console peaked with Bond, alright? That's one of the highest...
I think the Mario games and stuff were fun, but the thing is, I'm younger than you. Like, I'm a different...
matter. I've got mates that love Mario.
Yeah, I grew up with a lot of those, like, games.
Yeah, but, like, I've got mates that love Mario. I just don't like the Mario games.
That's fair.
But literally the system's highest-selling game was, like, fucking James Bond, man.
Yeah.
GoldenEye. And that was one of the first releases. It never utilized its potential. That's my problem. And that controller didn't help at all. Dude, that was a terrible controller. Please admit that.
No, that middle bit was weird.
It was fucking
What was
shit.
that? What was that middle bit?
It was like a D-pad. It was like a.
You could never use everything at once, and it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, some people have said that the GameCube controller was kind of like a Kinder Surprise, not Kinder Surprise, like you know, like the Kinder Toys or whatever. Yeah. Or I forgot the name of the brand, but I think that was a really nice ergonomic design.
You reckon?
Like, that was comfortable on the hands. I mean, it was so good to a lot of people that they actually still make them, but for the Switch and for, like, new consoles.
I think
you can actually use a GameCube controller for, you know, your Wii, or your Wii U, or your Switch, or any, because people still use them.
Honestly, my favorite controller, man, I think the PS4 controller is really fucking good, like ergonomically. Like,
oh no, the PlayStation controller is quite comfortable.
Yeah, the 4 I reckon is really like a testament. Like it's really good.
Yeah.
My favorite, man, it depends. It's really weird, man, because you would probably never saw it. Do you remember the original Sega Mega Drive controller, the Genesis, like the original one with the 3 buttons?
Vaguely.
It was sort of like a crescent shape.
Yeah, vaguely.
It was really, really chunky. Yeah. If you physically held it like you normally would, right?
Yeah.
It was really sort of uncomfortable. My cousin, though, taught me a fucking trick. He held it with his 3 fingers on each button, like over, like he'd flip his hands and like he was playing like a piano.
Yeah.
So his 3 buttons were like that. The second you did that, man,
it was amazing.
Bang,
yeah.
you were on a whole different planet, man. That was like just a game changer.
Oh, what's the Dreamcast controller?
Oh, dude.
The Dreamcast, the Dreamcast is terrible, but I really want one just to play that weird Japanese fish game. I don't know if you've seen it. It's just these like fish with human faces.
Oh, hang on. I think I saw it on the What Culture list. Hang on.
I really want it.
Japanese game Dreamcast fish.
It's got to be there.
Hang on.
Yeah, it's really freaking bizarre, and like I just want to pick that up.
Very weird simulator for Dreamcast. Is that what you're talking about? Seaman.
I think so. Yeah, and like there's just these
See, but
fish.
I read that as semen, like straight.
Yeah, I
away.
hate that word. But
No,
like
that's what it is.
I don't know if that's it, but like you feed them,
Hang on.
and they can talk to you. and
Sega
stuff.
Strange.
And it makes me think of have you heard of the Andersan in the Woods? Yeah, that's it. That fish reminds me of that.
Is this it?
Yeah, that's it. That's the
I'm
game.
Michael Sikora, and welcome to Abandonware. We're here today to talk about something both of us are extremely passionate about. Video games. In particular, some of the weird, forgotten artifacts of video game history. Today we're going to be talking
There
about
you
Sega
go.
Arcade.
Yeah, that controller was weird. It was so clunky.
If
The
you
screen
like
and
watching two fish.
Is that it?
yeah, they're like fish with human faces.
Keep
What's
watching.
wrong with
It's
you?
bizarre.
This is the show for you.
I like lots of weird things.
Yeah.
There was a video I watched of a guy who actually
I mean, look,
bought
think
it
about it this way.
and played it for like a few weeks.
Swapping fish for a squid?
What for?
That's something.
Just to see what it was like, and he was like, it was really bizarre, but he still got kind of attached to his fish people, and that was it.
Don't worry, you got
I don't know. I can't remember most of it. I can remember the information, but I couldn't relay it.
Yeah, I don't
But
know
yeah.
what that. I don't know what the hell.
It reminds me of the Andersan of the Woods. It's like that weird Japanese video, and it was just like this like.
The what?
It's like this guy, a human, pretending to be a penguin, and he was like protecting all of these animals and stuff. And it was just like a weird Japanese comedy kind of thing. And there was like this fish at the end of it that's like singing to Mr. Ando. And he's just like, oh, I love you, Mr. Ando. I want to sleep on your face tonight.
What the hell
But he's like
are
a
you talking
fish with
about?
a human face. I don't know. Search up. Search Andersan of the Woods.
Andersan?
And he's like Ando-san, A-N-D-O, Mr. Ando-san of the Woods. But it should be like Ando Nomori or something.
Okay, well,
in
Anderson of
Japanese.
the Woods comes up.
Yeah, Mr. Ando of the Woods. And my favorite bit, there's like the bee, and he's like eating all the honey and the.
It's developed?
It's like it's getting developed and stuff. But there's just like weird shit that happens.
Thank you, Mr. Ando. Is that
Yeah,
what you're talking about?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ando.
Karaoke.
And it's like a fish that's singing. It's in Japanese, but
Okay.
they all have like weird.
Do I want to play this?
Yeah, go for it. They've all got like human faces though.
Okay.
It's weird. And like we couldn't find out if Mr. Ando is a penguin after all. But there is one thing I'm sure of. In our heart, Mr. Ando will always be a penguin. Ando, I love you.
You make me happy and give me peace 今夜は君の胸で眠りたいすげ坂
The motherly forest is filled with the scent of spring.
What is this?
It's you have to watch. If you watch the full episode, it's excellent. I mean, we don't have to play that now, but
That was the best rapper.
this is a great exit for the podcast. This song.
What the?
I should be translating, but I kind of forgot. So
Although it would smell like fish for sure.
yeah, but yeah, there was just a bit where it's like, I want to sleep on your face or something, and there's weird shit like that. But the whole premise of that was just like a guy who's pretending to be a penguin because he loves animals and like he identifies with them more or something. And so he's protecting all of the other animals in the forest from it being like developed. And yeah, and then there's like a scene in there, I think, where there's a bee complaining to like a bear that it's eating all of its honey, and it's just like this really uncomfortable scene where it's like, you keep licking my honey, like pedo pedo, pedo pedo pedo.
That's fucking weird.
Because pedo pedo, it means lick in Japanese, so it's just like pedo 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 pedo, like over and over again. It's just really uncomfortable. It was a great episode. Excellent.
The fact
the
that-
epitome of anime.
The fact that you can recall this shit is incredible.
Yeah, I watched it like when I was 14, so I don't know where that came from, but yeah. There you go.
Don't worry, my power recollection is pretty insane. I always bring up random ads that no one would have ever seen before, like usually.
But you get what I mean about that fish with the face.
Yeah.
It looks kind of like those weird fish face things. What is it with Japanese people and fish with human faces? That game.
Japanese people are on another level generally, man. Like anything.
They're living in 3020.
30-20?
Yeah, they're 1,000 years ahead.
You reckon?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, I've actually discussed Japan at length on these podcasts, man. Just the social structure, culturally, like all that sort of shit. It's so weird. Like, they're living in 3020, but then they've, like, you see geishas and shit walking around these huts, like in all the still images coming in. You're like, where are we? And then you've got like ultra cyberpunk in the middle of Tokyo. And then you've got like anime scene, which is massive. And it's marketed to kids, but it's adult sort of shit as well. Like, it's all so convoluted. You know what I mean?
I think from someone who doesn't live there, it's definitely like hard to understand. Or if you don't educate yourself on it at all.
Exactly, because we're on the outside.
Like, I've been into like a lot, because I was like a massive weeb when I was younger, and then obviously I ended up properly learning about some stuff as I aged. Like, I didn't just keep,
No, of course.
Like, to me, a lot of it isn't that weird, but then I realized that like most people, I guess it is.
That's peak East. That's peak East.
Yeah.
Peak East with like ultra technology.
At the moment, everybody's into South Korea.
Yeah.
Everyone likes them for K-pop, though.
I was going to say, when K-pop like banged out.
I got so mad because like I was into K-pop when I was like 14, 15, and I got
cheated.
I got bullied so bad because like people be like, play like in some of our classes you do like play a song that you like or like a music video, and I remember playing like I played Heartbreaker by G-Dragon. And people were like, like he's so ugly, like he looks like a girl, why do you like that? He's not even in English, you can't understand. And they would bully me for it. And then like a few years later, some of the same girls that were bullying me for it, they're like grown-ass adults, and they're like, OMG, like BTS. I'm just like, I'm gonna BTS your ass.
Dude, it's just how, man, I was fucking 13 years old listening to psychedelic trance, man, from Europe. Like bad. And everyone thought I was on drugs. Like, how can you listen to this shit? They were listening to like Bugaboo.
And then Psytrance and stuff came in.
Psytrance, like you can't, if you don't listen to Psytrance, you're just like weak. You know what I mean? What the fuck?
No, this is one song that's got that in it.
What was that?
I forgot the name of the song, but it's from like, it's a remix from Highlight Tribe or whatever. Okay. And there's just this one song, and it's just,
what?
No, but the song is just like I don't know.
You don't listen to electronic genres, do you?
Not really, no. But I forgot there's one song because I had like this one.
I can see why.
I had this one I had this one like massive tripper friend, but there was just this one song that they literally were doing that in it.
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, never mind.
Okay,
whatever.
I think we've reached the point.
No one's listening at this point.
No, we've reached the point of no return now. Thank you for coming in, man.
Yeah, it's been cool. We'll do it again sometime.
Hey, you're the one with 14 days of quarantine on your hands.
Yeah, I got 14 days, which means I probably shouldn't go anywhere. But
we're safe here.
The podcast bunker.
Dude, this place is safe. Don't worry about it. Nothing's going to come in here, man. Besides the gym that was at the front, that may have been a quarantine hazard zone.
I went to pull up out front of the gym, and there's like 3 dudes out there, and they're just looking at me like, who the fuck are you? I was just like, is this where I do the podcast?
What? I'm sorry.
I didn't say anything. That was my feel. I was like, what am I doing? Like, should I be parking here? They just looked at me with such judgment in their eyes.
You actually parked at that pub around the corner?
No, I parked out front of like a pool.
Yeah, the pool
supply place.
Did you park in the actual... Oh, the supply place?
Yeah, the parking lot's empty and the place looks like it's closed right now. So. Yeah,
the places always look like it's closed. I'm pretty sure it's a front. Like, legit, I think it's a front. It's been like that forever. As long as
okay.
Anyway, thank you for coming in.
Yeah. Let's hope my car's, like, still there.
Yeah.
Alright, I've just suddenly gotten really nervous about my car. I'm gonna go. Alright.
Thank you.
Hold up.